Hello and welcome. Today's case is about a 17-year-old girl who told her mum she was going to sleep over at a friend, but she was actually going to meet a boy she had been speaking to online. She believed that this boy was kind, charming, someone who she could trust, but he actually didn't exist. She didn't know that the guy she was talking to was using a fake profile to speak to her, so she had no idea who she was going to meet. So let's jump straight into today's case. I'm going to make a disclaimer because this case involves rape and murder. So if you're not in the right headspace for this, please click away and watch something else. Ashleigh Hall was born approximately 1991 or 1992. Her exact date of birth is not really online, but in October 2009, she was 17, so that puts her around that age. Ashleigh grew up in Darlington, and that's part of County Durham in England. That's approximately 30 miles from Newcastle. She lived at home with her single mom and her three sisters. Her mom described Ashleigh as her best friend because it only had been her and Ashleigh for 11 years, and then Ashleigh's mom got more children. So it had just been them two for 11 years. Ashleigh Hall was described as a bright, typical teenager. She was talkative. She loved being social. She loved hanging out with friends. Around this time, around 2009, Facebook started getting really popular. So she was using Facebook a lot. She would message her friends on MSN. She would just be online a lot. Her mom said that Ashleigh would help so much with her siblings since she was 11 years older. She became kind of like a second mom for them. So she would help her mom a lot with them. She would help feed them. She would help iron their clothes. She would help bath them. She would just be a good sister. She was really caring. She had like that type of caring personality. She had also recently passed her GCSEs, and that is an exam that students in England, Northern Ireland, and Wales take around the age 15 to 16. So she had passed that test and she went to Darlington College to study to become a nursery nurse. Ashleigh was just, yeah, a normal, typical teenager. She had a pink room. She loved listening to loud music. She would just like come home from school and like change into comfy clothes and just leave her clothes on the floor. Like she was just a normal teenager. She had photos of her friends and family on her wall. She just loved chatting with friends, hanging out with friends. Her mom would give Ashleigh pocket money because she would help so much around the house, and Ashleigh would go and buy credit for her phone so she could keep texting and calling her friends. Like she loved chatting with her friends and being online. Ashleigh had a lot of Facebook friends. She had over 400 friends and she knew most of these people, like almost all of them. She didn't know them super well, but she knew who they were. One day on Facebook, she was just scrolling and she got a friend request from a boy, and he said he was 19 years old and he had a photo with no t-shirt on, and Ashleigh thought he was really cute, so she accepted his friend request. This boy's name was Peter Cartwright, and they started chatting. He would compliment her all the time. He would just shower her with compliments, and she loved it. She didn't get that much attention from boys. She was interested in boys, but she didn't get a lot of attention. So she was getting loads of attention from this guy, and she really liked him. They would talk regularly, and they would talk on Facebook, and then they moved over to MSN and other chatting websites. They would chat, they would talk all the time, and Ashleigh was so flattered with all the compliments she was getting. She really enjoyed speaking to this guy. So just a month later, he asked, "Hey, would you like to meet?" And she agreed. She really wanted to know who she was talking to, and since they had such a good connection, she wanted to meet him. Peter told Ashleigh that his dad would come and pick her up because he had no car, so he asked if that's okay. And Ashleigh said, yes, it's no problem. So Ashleigh told her mom that she would be staying at a college friend's house. So Ashleigh's mom agreed and she said, that's okay. Just be home by 10:30 a.m. the next morning, the next day. So Ashleigh agreed. And just before she was leaving, she got a text from Peter's dad. and the text said, "Hi hon, it's Pete's dad. Are you sure you don't mind me picking you up? Pete is really looking forward to seeing you, and yes, it's okay if you stay." And then Ashleigh replied, "No, it's fine. I don't mind. I trust him, so I trust you, and thank you." After Ashleigh got the message from Peter's dad, she got a message from Peter, and the message said, "Me dad's on his way, babe. He says, excuse the state of him, lol. He's been at work, lol. He doesn't have to come in and meet your mum, does he, lol? He'll be a mess, probably, lol. Oh, and are you wearing some sexy underwear for me?" And then Ashleigh replied, "Okay, babe. And no, he doesn't, lol. It's okay, haha. What car has he got? And you will have to wait and see, won't you?" After those messages, yeah, Ashleigh had told her mum that she was going to stay at a college friend's house, and she did tell her mum that her friend's father was going to pick her up. So Ashleigh got into Peter's dad's car, or what she thought was Peter's dad's car, and he drove to a remote area where they wouldn't be detected. It was isolated and there was no one there. And once they got to this place, Peter, he kidnapped Ashleigh and he gagged her and he put tape all over her face. He then tied Ashleigh's arms with tape and he brutally raped her. And at some point, he had untied her, most likely to put on her trousers and button them. And then he tied her up again and he put more duct tape on her face, causing her to suffocate to death. And after all this, he dumped her body by a fence in a farmer's field. The following day, Peter was stopped by the police, and not on any suspicions of murder. It was actually for a traffic violation, a minor traffic violation, nothing major. He didn't have any insurance for his car. So they stopped him for that. So they took him in for questioning, and they didn't know who he was. He kept telling them fake names. So every time they'd look up a name, they would tell him this person didn't exist. It wasn't him. So they had no idea who they were talking to. They had no idea who they were questioning. And Peter, while he was getting questioned, he said to the police that they can crush his car. And the police were still trying to get him to just say who he was. At this point, it was already the next day after Pete had done those horrible things to Ashleigh, and her mom was waiting for her at home. 10:30 had passed. Ashleigh didn't show up. She tried calling her multiple times. She didn't answer. She tried calling her so many times, still no answer. And she was like, okay, this is so unlike Ashleigh. She always keeps in touch with me. She always is home on time. What is up? So she asked the friend that she was going to stay with, hey, like, where's Ashleigh? Have you heard anything from her? And her friend was like, she actually didn't sleep over at me. She wasn't going to sleep over at me. It wasn't the plan. And Ashleigh's mom got this bad feeling. She felt something is really wrong. So she went to Ashleigh's computer and she started looking through it, and she saw that she was having conversations with a guy. So she kept trying to call Ashleigh and no answer. So she went to report this to the police. Ashleigh was only 17, so they took it seriously straight away. The police were still trying to question Peter to know his actual identity, and he still wasn't talking. He wasn't telling them his real name, but finally, he did say that his name was Peter Chapman. And when they looked him up, oh my gosh, this guy had a huge criminal record from before, and it's so shocking. Peter Chapman was a 33-year-old homeless man. He had no address that he was registered on. He was homeless. He was born January 1977. He was raised by his grandparents in Darlington. People who knew him described him as strange from a young age. He started committing crimes as early as the age of 15. Peter had a long criminal history, and I'm going to read some of them to you just so you guys understand how disgusting this guy is. At the age of 15, he was accused of sexual assault, and just 4 years afterwards, he was accused of raping a girl he had befriended, and unfortunately, both these cases were discontinued. At the age of 19, in 1996, he stole a car and he used a fake registration plate, and he went to pick up a teenage prostitute, and he threatened her at knife point and sexually assaulted her. And just 2 days afterwards, he did the exact same thing, but he made a mistake. He told the second victim that he had done the exact same thing he did to her just 2 days before to another woman. And she went straight to the police and told them what happened, and that he had told her that he had done the same thing 2 days before. Police were able to link the first attack to the second one because they had both described the same man and the exact same car. So the police also looked at stolen car reports, and they found the stolen car. So they could follow it on CCTV. They saw the exact timing, the exact movement, and that's how they were able to find Peter as a suspect. So they took Peter in and they put him on a lineup, and they called the first victim and asked if she could come into the station to point out the attacker. And she went into the station and pointed out Peter Chapman. Peter received a 7-year prison sentence, and the judge said that he was a clear danger to women, but he only ended up serving half of his time, which I really don't understand. If he's a clear danger to women, why let him out earlier? I really don't get it. So after getting out of prison, he was put under the MAPPA, which means a multi-agency public protection arrangement, which means he is a high-risk sexual offender and that he had to be monitored for life. So every time he moved, he had to notify the police. He had to regularly check in with the police as well. So after he was released, he was arrested again for the kidnap and rape of a prostitute. But this case was discontinued because the victim was too afraid to face him in court. And during all these years, Peter had failed to work with the police. He had failed to tell them every single time he moved. He did not comply with monitoring. He was just living freely, like he wasn't on any sex offenders list. He was just living his life like a normal person. And I think that is so weird because the police then should take it as a red flag if he cannot even do that, and they know how dangerous he is. Like, why weren't they taking it so seriously? By 2009, Peter, he learned how to use social media to his advantage. He made fake Facebook profiles posing as a 19-year-old teenage boy, and he had two accounts that he went by. One called DJ Pete, and the other one Peter Cartwright, and that's the one Ashleigh added as a friend on Facebook. He always used photos that weren't of him. He always took someone else's photos. On these profiles, he had mostly female friends, and they would range from the ages 13 to 31. And keep in mind, he was 33. So the police were still questioning Peter, and he didn't really say much. And like I said, they had no suspicion at all that he had committed a murder. But all of a sudden, he just randomly confessed to committing a murder the night before. And the police was so shocked. He went straight to the front desk and he was like, I need to talk to somebody from the criminal investigation department because I need to show them where the body is. And they were so shocked. They were not expecting that. And the police said that if he didn't confess to the murder, they would have crushed his car. Then they wouldn't have had all the evidence that they have today. So once he confessed, he was immediately arrested on suspicion of murder. They took the car and they looked through it. They found duct tape with Ashleigh's hair on it. They found a used condom. They collected DNA evidence. They went through his laptop. They went through his phone. Peter led the police to Ashleigh's body, and it was in the same field that he had dumped her body. They had to tell Ashleigh's mom the devastating news, and it was so horrible. She couldn't believe it. Even people from her school and teachers couldn't believe that it had happened to such a sweet girl like Ashleigh. Peter was taken to prison while waiting for his court date, and he was not eligible for bail because this crime was so serious. Peter was being charged for murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault, and he first pleaded not guilty. But just a day before the actual trial would begin, he changed his plea to guilty. that means that they could just go straight to sentencing. They didn't have to have witnesses testifying against him, any of that. They could just go straight to sentencing. The judge said that Peter's crimes were calculated. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had created that Facebook profile knowing exactly how to talk to Ashleigh to gain her trust. And Ashleigh wasn't the only victim. He had tried on so many other girls. And the judge even said he's had a past before. Just looking at all these criminal records, he's done so much in the past and he's always been a danger to women. The judge said because of his history, he is likely to do the exact same thing if he has to be let out, and he's just a danger to society. So the judge sentenced Peter Chapman to life in prison. That means he has to serve a minimum of 35 years. If they still believe he's a high risk when those 35 years have gone, he will stay in prison. And I hope he stays in prison forever. Ashleigh's family was so relieved that he got that sentence. But it's still so sad because it won't bring Ashleigh back. And the public, even Ashleigh's family, was so angry with the police. How could they let a man like Peter not be supervised for such a long period of time? He was living like a free man, like he hadn't committed any offenses before. They didn't monitor him enough. He hadn't told the police every time he moved. He didn't answer their calls. They didn't see him when they had times they were supposed to meet. And they just let him be. They didn't take it seriously because that is actually breaking the rules after you have been put on the sex offenders list. So everyone was so furious. Like, how could they let a man like him just do whatever he wants? It's so sad because Ashleigh was just 17. She had her whole life ahead of her. She was starting to become a nursery nurse. That's what she wanted to become. She had such a loving personality and she was going to work with what she loved. And she had just so much life ahead of her, and it was cut short because of a evil man. It's so horrible, and this case reminds me so much of the Engla case, just when people that are supposed to be supervised and not allowed to walk freely just get left alone. It's just unacceptable. It's so sad. And that was the case of Ashleigh Hall. Thank you for taking the time to watch.